When Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge, they didn't just break a rule. Something in them broke, not morally, not just spiritually, something broke in their design. This is the moment where humanity became incompatible with itself. I want to show you how the forbidden download corrupted the human hardware. You see, in scripture, humans are described as three integrated components. You have the spirit, which is the God awareness. You have the soul, which is the self-awareness. And then you have the body, which is the world awareness, how you show up in the world. Before the fall, these three parts were synchronized, perfectly aligned, like hardware, software, and a power source that's connected, all connected to each other. But when Eve downloaded the knowledge outside of God's timing, that integration shattered. She pulled data into her system that her system could not process. And the result was not just sin, it was a complete severe malfunction. The very first emotional response after the fall wasn't anger, it wasn't rebellion, it was fear. I heard you and I was afraid. That was their response. Fear wasn't in humanity's original programming. Fear is what happens when the soul loses connection to the spirit. When the spirit is disconnected from the source, the soul begins to operate alone. It collapses under the weight of self-preservation. That's not sin. That's a system without power. Shame is the soul trying to process knowledge without grace. You see, they weren't ashamed before the fall. Not because they were perfect, but because God was their covering. When the forbidden download entered the human operating system, the soul suddenly saw itself without divine context. Self-awareness without God always becomes self-condemnation. That's why shame hit so violently. It wasn't emotion, it was a crash. Like opening 2 generations newer than your laptop can handle. Their soul could not process the new knowledge. Death wasn't punishment, it was incompatibility. The body was designed to be energized by the spirit, infinite life flowing through finite material. But when the soul was disconnected, the body lost its power source. If you unplug a lamp, the bulb doesn't get punished, it just goes dark. The moment Adam and Eve ate the fruit, their spiritual power line snapped. That's why God said, in the day that you eat of it, you will surely die, not immediately physically, but instantly spiritually. Spiritual death is simply the hardware shutting down because the software is no longer connected to the source. Before the fall, Adam and Eve were one, unified, transparent, connected. But once the download hit, they turned against each other. Adam blames Eve, Eve blames the serpent, trust collapses, unity fractures, blame becomes the default operating system of humanity. Why? Because when the spirit disconnects, the soul becomes self-protective. And self-protection always destroys relationships. This wasn't moral failure, it was systemic failure, and we're still living in it. Now let's bring this into today. Artificial intelligence gives us access to knowledge that our soul isn't mature enough to handle. It produces fear, anxiety, identity crisis, comparison, relational breakdown, and emotional overload. When you give humanity more information than formation, you repeat Eden. Right now, AI is giving us knowledge without capacity, power without discipline, speed without wisdom. Humanity is glitching because our hardware was never built to run omniscience. What happened in Eden wasn't punishment. It was the beginning of a slow system failure, and the human race has been living with it. Living with broken identity, broken desires, broken relationships, broken thinking, broken bodies ever since, because the forbidden download rewired the core. And here's the twist. God didn't abandon the design. He promised a patch, a restoration, a reconnection. That restoration will be the climax of this series. But first, we must understand how deep the malfunction really goes. In episode 5, I'm going to go a little bit deeper. because the hardware didn't just fail. Something began living inside the system. The Bible calls it the sin nature, the flesh, corruption, the old man, the law of sin. In episode 5, we're going to explore how the forbidden download created malware in the human soul, and how that malware still shapes our desires today. If you're getting value from this series, subscribe, turn on the notifications, and share this episode with someone that you love, who's asking big questions about life. I'll see you in episode number 5, the malware in the human soul. Blessings.